Akshay Bhatia. He's got the modern day golf swing and he's one heck of a player. Today we're going to have an in-depth analysis at his swing, and what I've done is I've flipped it as well as a right-handed version, just because I think for some people at home it's easier just to look at that right-handed version of the swing. So let's have a look. So setup, very, very good setup. He's got quite a rounded spine, which is something that he's worked with George Gankas that he really promotes, just to keep those balance points more even so we don't see any early extension. Gankas is big on that, like old school swingers like Snead, Hogan had much more roundedness in the spine. He's got a nice bit of knee bend, and then those arms hang beautifully under his shoulders. Just love that setup position. So let's get rid of those lines and let's have a look at this takeaway. So very, very good takeaway. It reminds me a little bit in terms of the lead action, a little bit of Snead going on, which is George Gankas loves that move. If that, look at that left knee. So watch this left knee. Really, really early, really moves towards the ball. What he's doing there, he's allowing his hips to rotate. It's not that when I started playing golf, like early 2000s, where everybody said, keep those hips nice and stable, don't let them rotate, whereas he's letting those hips go very, very early in that takeaway. Just look how much that knee is moving forward to facilitate some hip depth there. You can see how those hips start to move back. Love that move. It's just a great way of creating a lot of power and a lot of width that we'll see later on in the swing. If we look from a club position and a hand position, you'll see a lot of great players sort of work back. I like to call it a little alleyway, and you'll see he does that pretty much spot on there, where those hands are just working pretty much in a straight line back. You'll also notice, this is subtle, that a lot of great players actually do, if not all of them, the handle will actually move subtly down in the takeaway. So if I just draw a line on the butt of the club, watch how that handle starts to move down. That is just basically allowing those wrists to set. Not a lot of people realize that, but the hands actually move down in the initial part of the takeaway, and he does a beautiful job of that here. And if we look at this traditional takeaway position, you'll see just very, very one piece. That shaft is outside the hands, the club head's outside the hands, club face matching the spine angle beautifully. Just love that position. I love that left knee move if he was a right-handed golfer. It will take him a few frames back now. Again, obviously I flipped this round just because it's easier, I think, for most people to understand as a right-handed golfer. So let's move him back a few more frames. Love this body action. Look how much those hips are rotating. Look at that rotation in the hips. Look at all that rotation. So as you get to this lead arm position, you'll see how the belt buckle is facing the camera. Look how much that left knee has moved towards the ball. Just allows him to facilitate loads of hip rotation. And look at this trail knee. Look how much that now extends at this position. It's a really, really powerful way to hit the golf ball, getting lots of hip depth. You'll see from a arm position, his hands are really, really far away from his chest at this point. Those arms really stretch out. Not a lot of elbow bend in that trail elbow. That club shaft is nice and vertical. You'll see a lot of great players go from steep in the backswing to then shallow in the downswing, especially with irons. You won't see many great iron players with the shaft really flat. There's always exceptions to the rules, obviously, but most of the tour players have this tendency to go steep with the shaft and then shallow. I just love this guy's swing. Also worth noting is, let's look at the head movement from address to this position. Look, he's just lost a touch of height, just loading into the ground as he's using the feet and the hips to really rotate solidly into the ground. So we'll have a little look as we move further back. You'll see, look, I just love this move with the hips, like I say, straightening that trail side, really that lead side getting a lot of bend there. And then as we get up to the top of the swing, you'll see, look how athletic that motion is. Got a nice bit of side bend there. I think he's quite a tall fella. We've got loads and loads of width there. Look how far away those hands are from the head. Love that position. That trail elbow is nicely in front of his body. Just textbook there. Just look how powerful that position is. And then that club face, if I just try and zoom in here, you'll see is just subtly stronger than his lead hand. So a little bit of a stronger club face position, which is great when you've got as much rotation as Akshay has. So I just, from a still perspective, that is such a great position. Now this is for me where the magic really happens. So we'll put a line on his head because we always talk about how much people use the ground, and we'll see if he drops down like a lot of guys. And then we'll put a little line, redraw that on his trail side, and let's have a look how he moves down. So we'll see, oh, that head has just gone. You'll see now, look, that drive down. You see on the arrow with where the hips are, how much that belt buckle. So let me get rid of those lines. Watch this belt, watch how much it drives down now. Can you see that? Drives down. The athleticism in that move is phenomenal. Look at the club position, right? And then look at his knees. So look how straight that trail side is, and look how little time that club has moved and the hands have moved, and look how much he's reflexed that knee already. So look at that. The club and the hands have hardly moved, and look at how much he's reflexed. So there, boom. And the club's, like I say, it's hardly moved. Now what that's doing is it's creating a tremendous amount of stretch in that lead elbow. It's something that not a lot of people realize, but it's really powerful and efficient way of creating a ton of club head speed, leaving these hands nice and high. You know, Gankers does things like putting an alignment stick across the arms and almost feeling like it stays there as long as possible, because what it's doing is it's just creating so much stretch specifically in that lead arm and then around that torso, and all that elastic energy is then released at the ball, which creates a really powerful hitting action. But I mean, look at that move. Look, I mean, I'll redraw that head position, that headline. You'll see, boom, little move down. But really what's key there is that reflex of the knee. And why he's doing that is because those hips are just really rotating. Look at that position here. That hip belt buckle is pretty much pointing at the ball, where look, you can still see the buttons on his shirt facing at the camera. That's not a move that most guys are going to be able to have the flexibility to do. It's just pure athleticism. And then we'll also see how that trail arm then rotates down to really help shallow that club. That trail elbow is going to drop now a little bit lower than that lead elbow, which just helps shallow that club beautifully. And then from here, it's just a really athletic move. So we'll bring him down a couple more frames. Look at that position there. Look how much that trail knee has moved into flexion. Look at that in such a short period of time. And that's just, look at the hips, look how much he's rotating. And again, we can still see the buttons on his shirt facing the camera. So just think of all that elastic energy that's being stored through the torso in that lead arm. Phenomenal amount of athleticism there. And let's bring him down a couple more frames, and you'll see, again, it's all about rotation, this swing. This knee's really driving towards the ball. Those hips are rotating. Nice amount of shallow in there with the club. Again, we talked about steep in the backswing, shallow in the downswing. Moving a couple more frames. Look, it's just so athletic. And I wanted to take note again, I talked about it, is how much those hips have driven down. You see that? Down. That's creating, again, that plenty of torque there. And you'll see, look how shallow that club head is there. And that amount of rotation is just ridiculous. You can see how his butt is now facing the camera. The chest is starting to open up a little bit more. Buttons on the shirt facing at the ball. Again, so much speed and power created within this swing. That club face is in a nice strong position there. I know the camera's a little bit blurry, but we can just about make it out. He's retained that wrist angle, and then from here it's just a case of really opening up. Those hips are going to drive up as well. What we'll see now is look at that microphone pack on his back there, and you can see how it starts to move up. That's just really again using the ground to explode up. Can you see that? The pelvis moves down and then up through impact, and I love this impact move. Look how little face rotation there is there. So just watch this. So you can see how he's not rotating the club over, he's just holding that angle in, that trail wrist, holding it long time, and just really de-lofting that club and creating such a stable face, which allows him to absolutely stripe it. I know he likes hitting a little cut, but that's just a great position to hit that cut from, maintaining that trail wrist angle and then really firing through, up and away from the ball with the pelvis. Just look at that move with the pelvis there, boom, up and back, that lead side pocket really moving away from the ball. That's such a powerful action. Love that little bit of trail arm bend. Look how much that pelvis has rotated. So powerful. We can see how the foot's come up, and then everything from here is just a byproduct of that athletic move. That pelvis is going to drive up. You can see there's not a huge amount of release there. He's just holding that angle. Exits really left, which is more popular obviously nowadays, where those hands are pretty much exiting on that shoulder plane, and then just lets his head rotate. And look at that width there. Love that position. It's just the modern day golf swing. I think this guy's going to be around for a long time, and I've got a feeling he might pop off a few majors as well.